Hey y'all, Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me today as we are going to take a look at the Snecx designed Civivi Vision FG. I got mine in the PP yellow Ultem color handles. Really like it. We're going to take a closer look at that in a minute. Feel free to go down below and make all the Ultem PP jokes you like, man. Doesn't bother me in the least. I usually try to bring you guys stuff that, not everybody else and their cousin are covering and have done reviews on, but sometimes, there's just one of those knives that just has such an impact on you and really has become such a favorite. And, a lot of those other guys, many, if not most of those other guys, are getting free knives from the company. So, sometimes you wonder, well, is this really your favorite knife? Or you got to say that because that's how you keep getting free knives. So your boy Fred here does not get free knives. At any rate, this is a fantastic knife. We're going to take a look at the good, the bad, the ugly. Before we get started, if you would please down below here, hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Your boy Fred needs some YouTube love. Try to stay out of jail. If you got to leave early, no problem. Throw me a thumbs up on your way out. Just a little bit of help, man, goes a long way for me. I always like to take a look at the box that they come in. Nothing particularly fancy. If you've gotten a Civivi knife, then you probably have gotten one of these white boxes with these cool little pouches. I'm trying to figure out, what do you do with these pouches? Maybe y'all can give me a tip. I have a knife case that I keep all my knives in, so I don't have to keep unzipping little pouches every time. But it seems like such a waste. These are really nice little, fur-lined canvas pouches. And I'm like, man, what should I do with that? What's another good use for these pouches? Y'all let me know down in the comments, because I keep getting these and I'm wondering, man, it just feels like it's a shame to put it in a box and throw it away on a shelf. Anyhow, you get all the normal goodies in there that you get with all Civivi knives, including a nice little fiber cloth, etc. Normal stuff. If you bought a Civivi, and if you haven't, you probably should. Civivi does, in fact, make some of the best budget knives out there, and they have so many different designs to choose from. It's like kind of crazy. Let's do some size comps before we get in here. This is what I'm definitely going to call a full-size knife. So let's start off with our Benchmade friends. We got a Benchmade Crooked River and a Benchmade Bug Out. You will see that the Vision comes right in between both of those. Man, that Crooked River is just such a monstrous size knife. How about if you're a Spyderco person, we like the old PM2 and the Para 3, and those you can see again right in between both of those sizes. So kind of that Goldilocks middle range size. Certainly a definitely largish full size knife, but not too large that it's uncomfortable or unwieldy to carry. I'm going to show you a couple of other comparisons, because if you've been around my channel for a while, again, you probably will have noticed some similarities in what your boy Fred likes in terms of blade styles. So for all these, let's line them up on the rear ends here. You will notice very similar style. Now, they call this a reverse Tonto. It's still kind of a sheep's footy style of blade, which, is very similar to the Spyderco Drunken, the Spyderco Spidey Chef, and one of my new favorite EDCs for sure, the Rinmet RTBG. All of which kind of have that drop pointy sheep's footy with a little bit of belly in it. And it's just so good for so many different uses. It's part of what makes it a really just perfect EDC knife for me and for the stuff that I tend to do. Still sharp enough on the point, that you can poke stuff with it. But man, it's the right size, the right shape, and you obviously see the comparisons there. Let's take a quick peek at the specs. I'll bring those up on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see this thing comes in at just under 8 inches. The blade length is 3.5 inches. Your closed handle length is just under 4.5 inches. Blade thickness, again, is that Goldilocks size for EDC. It's not too thin, not too thick, 0.12. That's a very common size. Handle thickness, just a hair under 1/2 inch. It definitely fills the hand nicely and is not too big, not too small. Again, kind of Goldilocks. Blade finish, they just call black. So this is a tough one. I can't tell if it's a PVD or just maybe a paint coating. I will tell you it's very tough. This blade looks like it's hardly been used at all. There's almost no snail trails on this thing, and I've had this for months now, and this gets a lot of carry time, is broken down, at least a lot of boxes with tape and gunk and all that stuff. I will tell you, if y'all haven't tried this before, And this is not a pitch, man, but this KPL knife shield, I got it because, I tend to buy cheaper knives and they tend to have cheaper steels. And so I thought, well, at least I'll put something on that steel to try to keep it from rusting away on me by next year. This stuff is excellent at cleaning, is what I've discovered. Beyond just protecting your knives, it's excellent at getting all that tape residue off. And you can see it's done a heck of a good job on this one because I've used the heck out of this blade here. All right, finish up your specs here, buddy. Flat grind, Ultem handles. These Ultem do have a little bit of texture to them. We'll take a closer peek at that. Nitro-V blade. We're going to take a look at the Nitro-V steel in a minute. I got another chart I want to show you, but let's finish up the specs. Just over 4 ounces. That's the perfect kind of mid-size weight. Does have this Snecx Superlock design with this back almost like a shark lock from Demco. And then price, I got this one just under $90, although I did add the titanium clip to it. Wasn't a big fan of the pocket clip that came with it. It was just a little bit pokey, so that'll put you around $110, give or take. I did measure the behind the edge on this blade. I always try to give you guys that. It is pretty darn thin and slicey, 13/1000ths, and I probably could have gone, when you're at that level and measuring thousandths of an inch, it's, the difference in 1 or 2 thousandths is hard to measure. At any rate, the HRC, they list on this as 59 to 61. That's a little bit disappointing, as Nitro-V really can range anywhere from 57 to 64. Most people will say, get us at least to 60 to 62. I guess they've kind of done that. I'm going to say probably most of their uncoated blades are going to be around that 60, 61 mark. But then when you put coatings on a blade, it tends to drop by about a point. So this one is likely closer to 59 or 60. A little soft, but you know what? For the price and the rest of the quality you get out of this knife, no complaints there. All right, let's take a little closer peek at all the fit and finish of this thing. Again, as I mentioned, I put on I just bought this with it on Amazon as well. They have even little packages. You can get the knife and the pocket clip as a kind of a package deal, save a few bucks. This is a great milled tie clip. You can see it's just strong enough. It's got a perfect ramp. There's not too much texture on these Ultem scales. This slides easy in and out of the pocket. No problem there. It's not quite a full deep carry. You can see you'd have about that much exposed sticking out of your pocket. Not a big deal. I mean, really, do y'all worry about that much knife sticking out of your pocket? I don't think most people would, unless you're just in a place where you really have to hide the fact that you're carrying a blade. In that case, this might not just do the job for you. Pocket clip is reversible. That is a very nice thing. All the hardware on this thing is T8 all the way around. That's great. As I mentioned, I have the Ultem scales. Let me see if I can get some good light on this. You can see this is a very finely milled texture in here. So this is not, let me see if I can make it. You hear that scratching sound? So it's just milled enough to where there's good grippy texture on this thing. Of course, you got the holes that add a little bit more grip to it. Even some of your fingertips tend to ride in there. Depends on how you're holding the knife. So good grip on it. It's a very neutral grip. Obviously, you could do reverse pull cuts with it just as easy as you can do push cuts. It's got this great choke up choil on it. You can get right up into it. So I love the scales. I did like the yellow and black. I thought that was a nice little color touch. I might buy extra, they have some really nice aftermarket scales for these as well. I've thought about that, but you know what? For me, I'd rather take that money and buy myself another knife, y'all. I mean, that's just kind of how it is for me. These are definitely plenty good enough and nice enough, and I really don't mind. I like the look of it all, even with the holes. Doesn't come with really anything specifically for a lanyard. However, what I have kind of discovered is that you've got this back little pin right here. You probably could, if you look at how the blade, where that blade falls, there's enough space between the blade and that back spacer that if you had a relatively thin lanyard, you would not be cutting it each time you closed it. So, if you're really into lanyards, that may be something you'd look at, or not at least avoid this knife because of it. Snecx Superlock. Snecx Tan is the designer, designed this Superlock. It is really nice. I mean, it's smooth, it's soft, it's not too hard. It's to pull. The spring isn't too stiff. Like I had the Demco 𝗗𝗏𝗃𝗶𝗃𝗶, super stiff spring on here. It was kind of hard to pull. It even hurt your fingertip. So you can actually launch this very easily with that Snecx lock. Very easy to get the hang of. just basically, it's fall shut. You can see you pull that back. This thing is fall shut, swing nice and easy. It is riding on ceramic cage bearings, so that is another reason why it is super smooth on that. No lock stick at all. You can whack this thing all day long. That's a really strong lock. The way it works is, let's see if I can get this around. So there's a tab that sticks down on the bottom of that lock bar, and it fits into this grip, into this tang hole right here. That's what she said. Sorry about that, y'all. Anyhow, it's strong as can be. Let's just leave it at that. How about that? Detent on this thing is really just about perfect. So there's no detent ball. It's just the pressure of the blade tang against the spring on that Snecx lock. But it is, you can see, I mean, it'll suck it in plenty good. But that makes it beautiful. You can front flip it all day long with the thumb stud. You can reverse flip it real easy, no problem. Or you can use that Snecx lock, like I said, and flip it out like that. I will tell you, you can, if you get it right and flip it just like that, because it is, a somewhat heavier blade. It's a good sized blade there. If you give it that solid wrist flip, you can flip it out. So, just making you aware of that. For some people, that may or may not be an issue. For me, it's not at all. You have to really work at it. And honestly, you know what? If I had nothing else and I just really needed to get it open fast, you could always just flip your wrist like that. It does take, the right amount of, you can't just shake it like that. You can hear it starting to come out, but it's not going to come out. You really have to flip and twist your wrist as you do it to get that blade to come out in that fashion. All right, so this blade here, Nitro-V steel, this is really a great entry-level budget type steel, but really a very good quality steel. I'm going to bring up a little chart here. So I'm trying to do this for y'all so this becomes a little more educational as well, talking about how Nitro-V compares to some of the other steels that you'll find out there. So the really strong emphasis on this steel is with toughness and corrosion resistance. I can't, I made a little spreadsheet where I can rearrange all of the knife steels based on toughness levels or corrosion levels, etc. And so I didn't list every imaginable steel out there. So I couldn't find any in my list that are right at a 7.5. However, look, in terms of toughness, this is better, than Maximet, Elmex, Vanex, S45, CPM 154, CPM M4, MagnaCut, M390, S90V. This is tougher than all of those steels. So that's really what this knife is designed to be, a very tough, hard use knife for people who also want a steel that's easy to sharpen back. It strops back super easy. So that leads us to this lower edge retention. It's roughly, Nitro-V is the same as that 14C28N. Another great entry-level steel, AEBL, OS8, HCR13, LC200N. All of those share the same edge retention. So it's not like total crap. It's just not its strongest point. It's, of course, better than the high carbon steels that you would find out there. Corrosion resistance, we're back up towards the top of the list. It's about the same as the 154 CM. CPM 154, of course, more or less the same. OS8, HCR13, AEBL. It's better than M4, Maximet, Rex 121, Crewwear, D2, ZDP 189, 3V, XHP. So in terms of corrosion resistance, this thing is a very strong contender. And again, that's what this is designed to be or intended to be from the start. You can use it for just about anything, certainly easy with food prep that you might want to do, and the design lends itself perfectly because you can get that blade down on the table with your fingers. If you're doing slicing, chopping, whatever it might be, it is made and designed for that as much as any other EDC task. And super easy to strop back. Literally, I have not sharpened this thing. I've cut the heck out of at least cardboard with it. Probably is among the hardest thing. I have played with a few little feather sticks with it as well. Not terribly hard use, but I definitely put it through some hard stuff. And this thing just strops back 15, 20 runs, back and forth across a nice leather strop, and is back to razor sharp. Speaking of which, while we're talking about that, we might as well go ahead and look at the sharpness of this blade. Trying to go slow because that's how you cannot cheat the system. It's one thing to zip through real fast, but you're going slow. That makes a big difference, and you can see very sharp. And again, I haven't sharpened this. It's the same out of the box. I'm gonna go through a little cardboard, piece of cake. I love that little choked up spot right there. It will destroy cardboard all day long for you. And that's pretty decently thick cardboard. That's not like too wimpy of a cardboard either. So yeehaw for that. This is, again, an ideal EDC knife. Okay, now that we've run it through some cardboard, Did that dull my blade? And the answer is no. So it's plenty good steel to do anything you want in the realm of EDC. Great stuff on there. All right, reverse Tonto, not sure about that, but that's what they want to call it. I can get that. Yeah, I'll go with the reverse Tonto. To me, it's a 𝗗𝗶𝘃𝗶𝘃𝗶 Tonto kind of blade. Very little branding, almost nothing, no logos or branding except for the design by Snecx. And you know what? Good for him, good for them. He designed the knife. He should get his name on it. The only other branding is on the pivot, which is great. I love it when they do that. So don't mind that at all. That's pretty cool. No blade play. I mean, this thing is solid as can be. No up, down, left, right. There's no pivot lash. There's no detent lash. Of course, this is not on a detent ball, but that spring you can see holds this blade in there plenty strong. We've already taken a look at that. Sharpening choil, because you have this beautiful large finger choil, is plenty good. You can sharpen this thing a whole bunch of times, which is fine. And you know, you may end up sharpening it a little bit more because, as we said, edge retention of this steel is going to be, going to need a little bit more sharpening. But again, you can just drop it back for most uses. If you just drop it back after, 1 or 2 uses, or even at the end of a hard day of use, you probably won't have to sharpen this thing for quite a while. Ergonomics on this thing, as mentioned, are fantastic. Just very neutral. Nothing superlative about it, but nothing bad about it at all. With that nice clip that we've added on there, you don't feel that in the hand. I've got a size large glove, plenty of room for XL and even double XL hands. And when you get into that choked up position, you could have all the fingers in the world and it's not going to matter. This knife is a good full-size knife, going to fit comfortably in everybody's hands. There is no jimping on the blade. That's something worth mentioning, at least if you're a big fan of jimping. I like jimping on a blade, but I haven't really noticed it being an issue with this knife. And again, I've used it pretty well. Only negatives to this thing, I mean, this could be your one and done kind of knife. If you're just looking for one really good, decently affordable, sub $100 knife that's going to work for pretty much just about any scenario you can imagine with that blade. It's pokey enough. It's certainly sharp enough. It's tough, it's corrosion resistant, it's got a little bit of a belly. You can do chopping and slicing and draw cuts, pinch cuts, push cuts, you name it. Blade's a little bit on the soft side. I'd love to have seen that get up to a 61, 62 HRC. And the original pocket clip is not great, as I mentioned. So, I'm reviewing this with the titanium aftermarket clip. It's not horrible, y'all. I wish I had it. I didn't bring it here for this review. The original clip's not terrible. Most people probably wouldn't say they have a problem at all. It's the same clip Civivi puts on all their knives, basically. It's just got a little bit extra of that kind of Loch Ness monster head bill sticking up out the end, and you can start to feel that in really hard use. So overall, fantastic knife. This is definitely one that could be that one and done knife if you're not a collector and don't like having all kinds of different designs. It's big enough, it's small enough, the blade is perfect, the grip is very well done. There's certainly plenty of texturing, although they make these in micarta and G10 scales as well. You can get a lot of aftermarket scales that are really nice for this if you want to dress it up after the fact. Lots of accessories, again, you can swap out that pocket clip. The lock mechanism is super strong and real easy to work that lock. It's fun, it's fidget friendly. Forward flip, reverse flip, lock flip, you name it. This thing is a winner all the way around. So I know y'all have seen this before, but I wanted that to come from me because I'm not getting paid by anybody, and I certainly don't get free knives from anybody. I paid my monies for this thing, and I'm very happy that I did. So I just thought I'd throw my own 2 cents worth. Again, if you would, please, down below here, hit that subscription bell, the subscription button and notification bell. That you're probably not going to get hit that many times. I don't post that many videos, but it really helps me out a lot, y'all. So if you're willing to help your boy Fred out, throw me a thumbs up, give me a little YouTube love. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much. Have a great day.